these old school entertainment people come on and they don't really understand the app and they clearly are not doing it themselves. They have some like content assistant and then they're like, hey kids, like, I guess I have to be here now. And it's like, what are you doing here? I will say the musicians do a better job. Like Megan Trainor has Chris Olsen, you know, her like TikTok buddy that like, and music is such a part of TikTok. I feel like they get a warmer reception.
You're listening to What the Hell is Michael Jamin Talking About? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about creativity, I'm talking about writing, and I'm talking about reinventing yourself through the arts. Hey everyone, what the hell? It's Michael Jamin talking about today. I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. So for those of you who have been listening for a long time, I'm always telling you, just put your work out there, get on social media, start making a name for yourself, because whether you want to be an actor, a writer, or director, you got to bring more to the table than just your desire to get a big paycheck and become rich and famous. If you can bring a market, if you can bring your audience, you're going to bring that brings a lot to the table. And so my next guest is an expert on this, and she is the author of Extremely Online: The Untold Story of Fame, Influence, and Power on the Internet. I'm holding up her book. If you're watching this podcast, if you're driving in the car, you can imagine that there's a book and has a cover. So please pull over your car and give a round of applause to Taylor Lorenz. Thank you, Taylor, for coming and joining me for talking about this. It's an honor meeting you finally.
Yeah, likewise. Excited to be here.
So you wrote this great book, which I read, and there's so much I want to, I guess, there's so much, you actually document the history, starting from like the beginning of mommy bloggers and all these people who kind of were at the forefront and then kind of built a name for themselves on social media. And so I'm just hoping to talk to you about how we can take some of this information and apply it to the people who listen to my podcast and follow me on social media so that they can help do the same, And so I guess starting from the beginning, what was interesting that you pointed out is that women were kind of at the forefront at this whole thing. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I talk about this in the book, but in the turn of the millennium, the early aughts, there was this blogging was taking off, and there were tons of blogs, and I talk about some of the big political and tech blogs at the time. But it wasn't really until the mommy bloggers entered onto the internet in the early aughts, who were these moms, these stay-at-home moms that really had nothing else to do. A lot of them were shut out of the labor market, and they turned to blogging and ended up really building their own kind of feminist media empires by building audiences. And they were the first to kind of like really cultivate strong personal brands online and then leverage those personal brands to monetize.
And you're right about, like, I remember this maybe been 10 years ago or maybe longer. One of my friends, who's a screenwriter, she developed a TV show on these mommy bloggers, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, and there was a couple of people who did that. Max Muchnick, who was a guest on my podcast a couple of weeks ago. Same thing. He wrote a show based on shit my dad says, but it's on a Twitter feed.
Yeah.
And there's all these people. It's so interesting. That I was a little late to the game in terms of Hollywood exploiting all these markets, these people who are making a name for themselves. Let me back up for a second, though. Why did you decide to even write this book?
Yeah, so I started covering this. I started as a blogger myself a little bit later.
What were you blogging?
I was blogging about my life, a lot about my life, and a lot of like about online culture stuff. I thought that the mainstream media was really bad at covering the internet, and so I thought, I'm going to write about the internet. This was when I was like, young millennial, like right out of college.
So you were writing about your personal life?
Yes.
How did that? And I mean, okay, so that's a whole different thing. You're opening yourself up to everything. And was there any? I know I'm jumping around here. I guess I have so many questions. But was there? I don't know. Was there backlash from that? Were there repercussions? Because we're talking about, people do this. What's the backlash?
Well, it was, this was like 2009. So it was such a different internet. And I'm so grateful, honestly, that I was blogging in that era and not this era, because I think I didn't get a lot of backlash. I had a great community. I met like some of my best friends were like other bloggers from that era. I became very popular on Tumblr for my single serving kind of like meme like blogs. And so, yeah, just, I think when you're young, you're just kind of trying a lot of different things out. I didn't know what I wanted to do out of college. I'd never studied journalism. I didn't know I was working at a call center and just became popular on the internet and then was like, I guess I'm pretty good at this internet
Really?
stuff.
I didn't know that about you because I know you have a pretty big following on TikTok and Instagram as well, which is so weird because you're writing about something that you are also participating in. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost meta how you're you are what you're talking about. No,
Yeah, I mean, I started as like, had I been able to monetize my blog, like nowadays, content creators on TikTok, like they can monetize. Like in 2009 to 2010, you couldn't, the best that you could hope for was like one of those book deals at like Urban Outfitters, you know?
right, right.
But you couldn't really like leverage it into much. I ended up just leveraging it into a career in media, which has been fun. But
But you see, oh, see, this is what's interesting to me because right now you see so many people on social media like, how do I monetize this? Meaning like ads or even sponsorships. But there's other ways to monetize outside of brand deals or views, get like on YouTube getting views. And so yeah, there's a whole. I don't know. How is that? Do you think that's like a large percentage of people on the internet? It seems like to me most are doing it to monetize for the brand deals. What's your take on it?
yeah, I think now that you can monetize in that way, a lot of people that's their end goal. I'm
Uh-huh.
kind of glad. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. Who knows what I could have done if, I was able to just monetize, but I'm really glad actually that you couldn't because I think myself and a lot of other bloggers like we ended up going in a lot of different ways and entering into like a lot of like media type of jobs that yeah, I mean would have never gotten otherwise and I've learned how to be a journalist and like
Right.
I've gotten all these opportunities in my whole career from from just experimenting and having fun online. So yeah, I think I always tell people like it's great if you can monetize, get the bag, like do the, if somebody comes to you offering you thousands of dollars, why not? But I think it's really good to like take that virality and leverage it into, you know, like I like what Kayla Scanlon does, or Kyla. She's the economics YouTuber, and like she
Uh-huh.
gives all these talks about econ now, and she has a newsletter, and she's able to kind of like just do a lot more. It's not just doing a bunch of brand deals online. It's like using it to launch a career in whatever you want to have a career in.
Yeah. See, I see. That's the fun. I think it's so smart what you're saying because I don't. I see like some people. I'm like wonder what's your end game out of this? Is it just to But what you're saying is the end game. It's interesting. The end game is to do something else. Uh, and I wonder if that's what's going on with people. Like when I'm encouraging people to, I don't know, put themselves out there with their art, their writing, their music or whatever. In my mind, it's to build an audience, a following, to basically so you can do the next thing. But I'm wondering how often that if you see that happening for people, like
I think the smart ones do recognize it. Like
uh-huh,
I feel like the internet, you're just hopping from like lily pad to lily pad a lot of the time, which I know that's how a lot of creative people feel. It's just like, I think internet fame in itself can be a goal. I mean, look, someone like Mr. Beast, you've
yeah,
done it, you crack the code. Most people are not going to reach that level. And so it makes a lot of sense. Like if you're really into food, you're making food content, use that to open your own, restaurant or food line or whatever, but like use it to like kind of go into something that you're interested in because then you still have we always have that online audience. I still have my online audience. I have people that have followed me for a decade.
uh-huh,
Um and maybe they know me from my blog or like I had a Snapchat show in 2016 or like, things that I've done over the years,
uh-huh.
but it's always in service of like my broader career,
Your
if that
broader
makes
and so well maybe you tell me what that is. What is your broad? Do you have a broader goal out of all this other than
yeah.
getting a book, which is pretty impressive? You know.
I know. I never thought I would write a book. And then I just kind of, there was a lot of revisionist history. Like once the pandemic hit in 2021 and all these venture capitalists were pouring money into the content creator world and TikTok was taking off, people were just kind of like, they were rewriting history. And I was like, I'm going to write the definitive history because I've been around for this.
Right.
And I always thought it would be interesting to write a book. I didn't know anything about the publishing industry, except like I have a couple friends that did those Urban Outfitters type books.
That's so funny.
So
You see,
yeah.
there's a well. Oh, go on. I don't cut you off. So your broader
Oh
goals then.
yeah, I love media. I love
Uh-huh.
media. I want to keep working in media. I love, I like creative sort of endeavors. I like writing. I make videos, as you know.
Right.
I like, I'm very obsessed with news media, so I want to share
Right. So
that.
yeah, maybe more of that. There's a couple things that book that in your book that kind of took me a little bit by surprise. One is there are, well, first of all, I think there are people who make content. This is just my opinion, whose their content's a little disposable. And so, and you spoke about people who like, I don't know, it's like pranksters who like they got to keep upping the prank until it comes to a point where they like this one woman you talked about, she was sick to her stomach with the pressure of having to come up with something all the time. And to me, it felt like that's because you're making like I guess I have a rule. I have a rule when I was like I don't want to spend more than 10 minutes a day on this. But there are people who spend on posting. There are people who like put way a lot of time and pressure on this, and it winds up destroying themselves. Don't you
Yeah.
think?
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of that in my book of just like the burnout and I think like you said, it comes from just making content for content's sake and feeling
Right.
like it's an extra burden and giving it, it's also like when it's your whole livelihood, the stakes become higher. That's why I say you should diversify a little bit.
Yeah. There was another the thing that really surprised me that I learned from your book. Because I'm a little older, so I don't really know all this stuff. But there's a whole culture of content creators who their job is just to talk shit about other content creators. And
Yes.
I'm like, oh my
Yes.
god! And I've witnessed some of this stuff, but I didn't realize it's really a thing. Uh, like a gossip, like they're just gossipers,
Yeah,
right?
they basically have replaced like tabloid news
Right.
but for the internet. And yeah, it's a huge drama channel industrial complex online that you're lucky if you've not encountered.
Yeah. And do they go anywhere with it? What do you think is the end game for them?
Well, I mean, the woman that runs Dumois, which is more of a blind item celebrity news
Hmm.
page, she has a podcast. She also she wrote a novel that kind of based around like the content. Others like Diet Prada have really successful newsletters. A lot of the other commentators like Keemstar and stuff, like their goal is just to like basically run these media empires of like gossip, kind of like a TMZ for the internet.
And then how are they further monetizing though?
They monetize through partnerships and brand deals and a lot
Oh,
through
okay.
YouTube ads, because they
YouTube
get a
ads.
lot of views. Yeah, a lot of them get a lot of views on YouTube.
See, I just turned, maybe I'm crazy, but I turned down a brand deal today because I thought, I don't know, it doesn't align with anything that I stand for. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, and I was like, am I crazy for turning this down or like, I don't know. But have you get approached by things are you turning stuff down?
Well, yeah, I have to turn down so much stuff. I'll never forget a
Uh-huh.
tech company, which I will not name, offered me $60,000 to do three audio chat rooms for them.
What is an audio chat room?
Like a live chat type thing. Like it was going to be like 3 hours of work. And
Okay.
obviously I couldn't do it because I can't take on sponsored content. I'm a journalist. You can't do that,
Right.
especially not with a tech company.
Right.
And but I have to say that one really made me like question my career choices. But that normally, I mean, normally people are like, "Can you promote XYZ?" And I explain that I don't do.
So there's nothing that you can promote because you're a journalist. There's nothing.
I mean, I could theoretically probably promote companies that I don't cover, but I don't really want to, I don't need
Right.
to like make $500 promoting a mop, like it's,
Right. Right. Yeah. It's so interesting because you got to protect what I don't, it's so odd because I don't see a lot of people making brand, like when I'm scrolling through my pages, For You page on TikTok, I don't see a lot of people making brand deals. Like, but I guess they are, but am I not seeing it?
yeah, the branded content doesn't always live on TikTok. A lot of times they'll create whitelisted content that the brand then promotes in a TikTok ad.
Wait, when you say
So,
what, okay, you explain this to me. So whitelisted means
so
the
basically
creator, go ahead.
the
Yeah.
creator creates branded content, but it doesn't necessarily live on their feed. They create it for the brand, and then the brand will use that video that they made of the creator. Like, wow, I love my air stick selfie thing. Um,
Okay.
they'll run ads, so it's using that creator's likeness, like in the ad. It's
Oh,
the video that they made, but you're not going to see it on their page. You're going to see it in the
but do
spot.
they not put it on their page or you're not going to see it because no one's going to watch it or,
Sometimes they do put it on their page, sometimes they don't. I mean, all of these are negotiated in the terms of
Mhm.
the ad deals, which are structured increasingly in complicated ways. But I mean, there's a lot of SponCon on TikTok. Also, sometimes there's product placement on TikTok. You'll see people doing videos with certain products. Sometimes those the products have paid to be in there.
And they have to mention this, right? They have to. I wasn't aware of this, but they
Theoretically,
okay
yes.
theoretically. But you're saying they don't always mention it. They don't always say this is paid,
They don't
sponsored post.
always only, so the FTC says yes, and that I write about that decision in 2017
Yeah,
when they had to do that. The thing is that a lot of times they can get away by with not saying it because it's not directly sponsored. For instance, like you could have a long-term, year-long partnership with the brand. They could be giving you tons of free product, but they didn't directly pay you for that post. So you feel like, oh, I don't have to disclose
but they
it.
paid you for something. I mean, that doesn't make sense.
I
They paid
totally
you.
agree.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
But people get
so
around it by like kind of fudging things.
who would get in trouble then if they got caught? It's
The
the
brand.
the brand, not the TikToker or whatever.
Not really. I mean, they went after Kim Kardashian. Like, if you're that level, they'll go after you. But normally, they're going after the brands because the brands are usually doing this. And also, it's ultimately the brand or the agency that's running the marketing campaign. That's up. It's up to them to like enforce it and be like, "Hey, put this in your caption." You know.
You said something else that surprised me in your book is that at one point, maybe it's still this way, that it's the agencies where are making the money, and many of the creators are not getting that money.
Yeah.
Explain to me what happens. I read it twice. It's like, wait, I'm missing something.
So there's been this explosion in sort of like middlemen, agencies, management companies that have like come in and what they do is they find these up and coming creators, they sign them into contracts like, hey, I'll handle all your SponCon or I'll, come in and do this deal. And then they take a huge portion. Like
Mm,
the brand pays maybe $100,000 for a campaign. The agency will come in and take 50% of that or something,
really?
and then the rest goes to the creators. They allocate it. So
Right.
piecemeal. So
So they're
the
getting
agencies would
something.
argue that they are providing a service, and that's
Right.
true, but the less ethical agencies are less upfront about the amount that they're taking.
Interesting. Oh, because they don't tell you how much it is, probably.
Yeah. They won't tell you
Wow.
what the brand originally paid. They'll just say, "Oh, it's $10,000 for this campaign. Never mind that we got $100,000 from the actual brand."
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's so much to be careful. There really is. And so I asked you a little bit earlier if you knew of many. See, okay, so let me give you an example from my experience. So I did a show, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, maybe not, maybe 10. And the studio, we had to cast a role, and the studio wanted to get an influencer to play the part because this influencer had a bigger audience than the network had. So like, and he turned it down several times because the money he was gonna pay a lot of money, but the money wasn't worth it to him. He was making more on a daily basis, which I was shocked about. And so, do you know more? Can you speak more to that?
That happens all the time. Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
I thought
Because
this guy was crazy, but okay, go on.
Well, I mean, for a lot of content creators, their goal, it depends on the content creator. Some content creators, their goal is to get into Hollywood, and that would be an amazing opportunity for them.
Right.
But especially the ones at the upper echelon, they're already the A-list of the internet. They're
Yeah.
making millions of dollars. They really don't need to engage, and maybe it's a fun thing if they want to do it and they have time and it's like a novelty type thing, or it
Right.
adds some sort of legitimacy to them. But at a lot of times, like if they're spending, for instance, hours on a set, that's money out of their pocket that they
Right.
could be making a lot. So it kind of doesn't make sense. And people have struggled. Like it's not every content creator succeeds as well. So I think some of them do have that feeling of like, look, I'm really good at this. I know I'm really good at this. I'm making money. Do I want to gamble, take time away from that,
Yeah.
try my hand at this thing that maybe I haven't succeeded at before? It's not always, the payoff's not always there.
Do you know? Maybe I shouldn't even ask this on as we're being recorded. Do you know this guy, Nurse Blake? Have you heard of him?
I don't think so. Wait.
Okay, because I think I can't tell if he's a crew, if he's a comedian or a nurse, but whatever he is, he's selling out arenas.
Oh, I know this guy. I've seen him before. Yes. He's a comedian, right? Yeah.
Well, he doesn't act, but I also see him also posting in the hospital. So I'm like it seems like he could be selling out arenas, but also he likes you know doing the rounds or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's so funny. I don't know when you joined TikTok, but the earliest content creators on TikTok back in 2018,
Mhm.
when it flipped from Musically to TikTok, the earliest groups of content creators that emerged were police officers, nurses, and service workers. And they were all gaining huge audiences. And I think it's because those jobs have an enormous amount of downtime. And so,
Uh-huh.
and they kind of almost have like interesting like stages themselves. Like they're always like in the hospital or like at Walmart working or whatever. Like, and
Right.
so, there's a lot of people like that on social media that have like kind of pivoted, their career in that way to like,
I was when okay, I've been on a TikTok for maybe 2.5 years, and at first I was very self-conscious. I was like, "Isn't this the app where teenage girls shuffle dance? Like, am I going to be the creepy guy on this app?"
no.
And you're saying it's so hard to tell. I mean, the first time, like the first week and a half of posts, were like, this is cringy.
They always say, you know what? My favorite quote is that I think all the time, Xavier from Party Shirt said this, um, that everything is cringe until it gets views. And I think that's true.
Until it gets views. And
Then it's
I,
popular, it's not cringe anymore.
I guess so. Who were you when you first started posting? Did you look to anyone for like, I don't know, to emulate?
Yeah, I mean, there's this woman, Katie Natopoulos, who's like just a hilarious internet
Uh-huh.
person, and she's a blogger too. She ended up working at BuzzFeed for like a decade. I
Right.
always just wanted to be like her because she was so creative and funny. She had this website called, I think it was like called like Party something. She would aggregate really funny party photos, and she just was really good at finding funny things on the internet.
And do you know her? Have you reached out to her?
Yeah, now I'm like friends with her because I've been obsessed with her for like my whole career. So she very much,
Really? So now
yeah,
you have a friendship with her. That's nice.
she's
Do you
cool.
get recognized a lot when you're out and about?
Not in LA. No one gives a shit about me in LA.
But
But
when you're out somewhere else
if
over
I'm
there?
at like VidCon or something, yeah, usually, I mean, I got recognized in DC on my book tour when I was eating. That
Right.
was cool. But yeah, sometimes, I mean, when I was doing my Snapchat show, I got recognized a lot more. I think because like a lot of kids were seeing me on this Snapchat Discover channel thing.
Because I was on your link tree. You're kind of you everywhere, but are you active on every like I'm like, damn, she's on every platform.
I'm a equal opportunity poster.
So you
Well, I mean, I cover this world, so I kind of feel obligated to be on everything. I
um
definitely think Instagram and TikTok are my main ones. And then I have Threads also now, which
are you
I
making different content? Like, are you posting it? Are you reposting or posting brand new stuff everywhere?
um I repost if I make a short video for TikTok, I repost it on Reels and YouTube Shorts.
Right.
YouTube's always the one that I like. I'm so lazy about, honestly. I
It's
only
hard to grow on YouTube.
It's
I
so hard
think.
to grow and like
Uh,
I don't know, it's just like there's something demoralizing about YouTube,
Interesting.
but yeah. I think it's because it's like you know how it is. It's like you post something, you get like 100,000 views on TikTok. It's like doing
Mhm.
really well on Instagram, and then you go on YouTube and it's like meh, like
Yeah.
2,000 views, and you're like, oh, I'm a
What's the
failure.
point of that? And you were blocked. Are you still blocked from Twitter or whatever Twitter is
Yeah,
X?
Elon banned me for a while. I did get back on. I don't
What
really don't Twitter is dead to me, honestly. It's
what did you do to get banned?
I was promote so he banned me under this rule that he made that said you couldn't promote your links to other social media profiles, and I was promoting my Instagram account, so that's what he technically banned me under.
Oh, okay.
But what he really banned me for is that I reached out to him for comment. I wrote a story about how he completely lied about a bunch of stuff, and I reached out to him for comment, and the minute I reached out to him for comment, I got banned. And then he tried to say like, "Oh, it was actually because she was promoting her Instagram." No, that
How
was
interesting. And so do you think he was the guy? Like, do you think you made it? How do I
yeah,
say
well,
this?
he
He was the
responded.
end. He
Yeah,
responded. He knows who
he
you are
banned.
and hates you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he definitely. Yes. I mean, I've interact with him
Uh-huh.
in a somewhat frequent basis. But he that week I was not the only journalist that was banned for reporting on him.
Uh-huh.
So the same week, Drew Harwell, my colleague, was banned, and then a bunch of people from the New York Times, like we all got banned within a week. So and now
Wow.
we're back on.
It's and then they let you back on. Interesting. And then you're kind of, ah, screw this.
But I don't. Yeah, it's Twitter is also just very toxic and political, and I just don't think that. I think like culture is happening more on TikTok.
Don't you think they're all toxic?
Oh, totally. But I think Twitter's uniquely toxic.
Do you
TikTok's
think
toxic in a different way.
okay, I want to know what you think the differences are in each platform because I have opinions, but okay. Yeah. What are your differences?
I mean, Twitter is just very political, and like
Uh,
it's political in a way that like there's a lot of like, especially as a member of the media, you just it's like there's a lot of journalists on there. I think it's a giant group chat for a lot of media people.
mhm,
It's stressful. Editors, bosses are on there. Like I don't really use it. I use it to keep up with like I'm super immunocompromised, and so I keep
uh,
up with like COVID news on there. It's really the only thing I use it for. It's really hard to get news and information because Elon is sort of, you know, made so many changes to make it hard to get news on there. So I don't mess with Twitter. Um, TikTok I love, but yeah,
uh,
I mean, TikTok is just like mob mentality. So I mean, I'll never forget. I defended. Do you remember West Elm Caleb?
no, and it's so funny when you say these names. I'm like these ridiculous names. I'm like, no, I don't know that comic book character.
Okay, well, West Elm Caleb, like a year and a half ago, was getting canceled on TikTok. He was a guy that ghosted a bunch of people. He ghosted a bunch of women, and a bunch of women went on TikTok like, this guy's a ghoster. And
Okay.
it got so crazy that he got fully doxxed and fired from his job. And um, anyway, I like defended him, and I was like, hey guys, like, can we calm down a little bit? Like, we haven't even heard this guy's side of the story. I believe, he shouldn't be an asshole to women, but like,
Right.
I've been doxxed. It sucks. Like, don't do that. And, TikTok, like, they came for me hard on that one. They were like, no,
And
no
how
sympathy for West Elm Caleb.
and then like yeah, how worried are you about I worry about that. Like how worried about you, getting haters and stuff.
I've gotten haters. I write about YouTubers for a living. So if I
Uh,
was worried about haters, like it's it doesn't matter. It's my friend is like a pop music writer, and he told me like a couple years ago, like because if anytime you are covering something with a fandom, you're
uh-huh.
gonna deal with haters, and they're vicious, but a lot of them are 11 years old, or they're just online and
Yes.
they're mad, and you can't take it
Yeah.
personally.
So do you okay, do you respond to your post, comments on your post? You do.
I do. I try to. I mean, I don't try not to respond to like haters. Sometimes I'm weak and I do
Right.
respond to the haters, but I
No
always
good comes of it, right? When you do.
no good comes of it. But like sometimes you just, I don't know, you
But
gotta,
even if you respond with kindness, which I did today to somebody, he just doubled down on his
oh
stupidity. So I'm
yeah,
like,
they
well,
don't
why
care.
why am I trying to
They
convince
don't
this
care at
guy?
all. They're like, fuck you. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it doesn't help. I mean, sometimes if I'm bored, like I've replied something, but I mostly just ignore those people, or I limit my comments, and I try to keep it so that only my community is engaging and not like a bunch of randos. Or if they
Right.
have a good faith question, like I get a lot of story ideas from people commenting, or sometimes smart people will comment. You click on their profile, you're like, oh, cool, that person's interesting.
Right. Okay. Okay. So you sound emotionally mature about this whole thing, maybe more than I am, because I get upset sometimes. I
No,
mean,
trust me, I've had my moments. Like it's hard, but I think I've just been through it so long. I've been through the cycle so many times that I'm like immune.
and do you talk to your colleagues who do, I guess are they as active as you are on like let's say on TikTok,
No,
other
journalists
reporters?
are not. It's
Right.
weird with journalists on TikTok. They're not really that, like, journalists are so addicted to Twitter. Like Twitter is where everyone in the media is. And there's some journalists on TikTok, but not that many. So the ones that are, I think we all try to support each other.
Or it's just not competitive. It's yeah, it's supportive, you think.
I try to be supportive. I don't like, somebody said this really early on of like, don't compete, collab or something. It was like
Yeah.
a early like thing. And I really like that I felt that with blogging too, like, because I had
Uh-huh.
made friends with a lot of bloggers. We were all in the same group, and like, it's just like there's the internet is really vast and everyone is unique, and there's
Yeah.
not too
So
many internet culture reporters either. So
well, that's a question. Like I can't tell how big TikTok is. Like sometimes I'll see, oh my God, this creator knows that creator, and they talk, whether they
yeah,
stitch each other. I'm like, wow, this is a small place. But then I'm
yeah.
wondering, well, maybe I'm only seeing like this wedge of the pie, and it's actually much larger. I can't get a sense of how big this thing is.
It is really big. I mean, it's like billions of users, so it's really big. But I do
But
think
in
that
terms of
like
the creators, though,
the
how
creator
many?
community is smaller than you think. And I think the people that are like really active are they form a network, and you're always going to get people that are like a couple degrees away from people that you follow usually.
Yeah. Where do you think? Like, I'm certainly not the first person to say this, but during like the early days of Instagram was always about people. This is the glamorous life. It was all made up, right? It was like,
Yeah.
they got sponsored posted to be on a yacht or whatever. They're pretending to be rich and famous or whatever. And because we're all idiots, we're like, wow, they're rich and famous and they're living that life. And then that somehow evolved to now influencers turn to creators, and creators are more authentic. This is my life, take it or leave it. What do
Yeah.
you think? Like, do you think there's a next? What comes next after that? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I do think, I mean, I think we always flip back and forth between like aspirational versus authenticity. Like, and people want a
Uh,
little bit of both. People still want the aspirational content. It's just not everything. And I think, I do think that the authenticity is part of the appeal, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. But um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, different content formats perform well depending on what the platform is promoting. So right now they really want long form video. So I
right.
think we're going to see people that succeed in long form grow faster.
But do you think, like, when you're posting, how, maybe you don't even want to answer this on the air. I wouldn't blame you. Like, are you thinking about, oh, this post will do well, I should talk about this because I know it'll do well, or is it like, this is what I'm talking about, take it or leave it?
Yeah, it depends on the day. Some days there's like there's so many times where I'm like, oh, I know this would do well, but I just don't feel like posting today. Like
Oh, really?
especially lately. Oh my God, there's been so many things where I'm like, oh, that's gonna go viral. And then I see somebody else post it and I'm like, good, they got the traffic. You have to be early, on
Yeah.
something. But and then sometimes most stuff I just post because I think it's interesting and it's just my taste in news and information and just something I found interesting. But
How long will you spend on a post? Do you like do it again and again until
five
you get it
minutes,
right? Right?
no,
No, one
barely.
take and you're done.
Usually maybe I'll do like two or three if I like I might re-record something, but I don't take it that seriously because it's just one of many things I'm doing during the day. So I'm not
Right.
like, it's kind of like, and especially since I've been on book tour, like I've just been too busy to make, like, I go through periods and it depends on how busy I am, like how many videos I'm making.
And how much of your personal life, because I know you're like, yeah, you're talking about technology and you're interviewing
Yeah.
people and you're covering events like a journalist, but um, how much of yourself do you share?
I share my opinions. I mean, I'm very opinionated, and I think I always tell people that you can be very authentic. And I think a lot of people would find me to be very, like, very like authentic person online. Like I'm not a shy person or something, but
Right.
I don't talk about like my personal like information. Also, it's not that interesting. Like I think
Oh,
I
but
was
people would love to know. People would love to know
I know
what
people are
date you went on.
nosy. They're nosy. But I think about like all the cool stuff that I did in my 20s. I'm like, I wish I had TikTok. Like I think back then, and I was talking about my life more because I was like
Right.
doing more and going out more. And now I'm like, I have a little bit more of a chill life. So sometimes I talk about like walking around the Silver Lake Reservoir or something, but I'm not
Uh,
like, if I go to a really interesting event, maybe I'll share it. Like, I mean, I just went to Dubai and I actually haven't posted it yet, but I'm making a video about that. I
I can't
spoke,
believe you went. It's that flight is just too long, I would
it was
think.
so long. It was so long, but I got invited to this book festival and I thought, when else am I going to go?
So what, okay, what is a book festival?
So there's this really big book festival called the Sharjah International Book Festival, and it's huge, and there's thousands of authors and books, and yeah, I got invited to speak, and I thought
Oh, you're
it's pretty
speaking. So
cool.
what if you're not speaking? What happens to, is everyone okay? If you weren't invited to speak, would you be at a booth? Like, what is it?
Yeah, you just attend. I mean, there's thousands of people that attend, and they
Uh,
just come from all over to. There's a lot of like book buyers, and then there's a lot of like publishing industry people in the Middle East and in Europe and sort of that side of the world. And then there's just a lot of people that are interested in meeting the authors, going to panels, like um, just there's a lot of like celebrity author type people there.
who's setting that up? Your publisher or who?
Yeah, the publisher, like actually I think maybe my book agent forwarded it to me. They were like forwarded it to me like look at this random thing and I was like, "No, that's so cool. I want to do it."
Oh,
So,
wow, really? And so did
yeah.
they fly you out?
Yeah, they flew me out. They didn't pay me or anything. They just flew
Right.
me out and covered my travel, which honestly was enough for me. It was pretty cool.
How
So,
many days were you there,
I was only there for 4 days, 4 days.
including the flight, which
The
was
travel was a day on each side because
right?
the travel was long.
And then you were there for the rest of the time, and you spoke on the panel
I
for
spoke on
that's
the panel, and
that's an
aside from
hour.
that, Michael, I just did tourist stuff because I didn't have to do anything aside from that. So I was like,
Oh,
let me just go you know.
Oh, okay. So it's a chance for you to be a tourist.
Yeah. I met up, my friend is an editor over there for
Uh-huh.
Bloomberg, and so we hung out and just like did all the cool Dubai stuff together.
But I'm curious as because you have a. It's interesting since you were a journalist. Are we supposed to know anything about you? I mean, are there
Yeah, no,
rules?
it's so funny. So the old school sort of notions of journalism is like, I'm serious and I don't talk about my life and I never share an opinion. I think that's a very outdated and dumb model of journalism that nobody will try. That's why we have a crisis in media, I think, of trust, is because people don't know about, like, there's so much mistrust in the media, and I'd much rather be upfront with my beliefs and tell people, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking about the issue. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Ultimately, the goal of writing any article is to be fair and accurate. And
Right.
we
But
all
I
have,
thought you weren't supposed to be biased. I thought you were supposed to. I look. What do I know? I thought you were
well,
supposed to. This
everyone
this
is
are the
biased.
facts.
Everyone has opinions, right? There's
Right.
no such thing on earth. The point is that you're not allowed, you shouldn't let that kind of shape the story to the point that it alters the truth, right? But
Right.
to act like, oh, I don't have opinions as a journalist, that's stupid. We're all human beings. We all have opinions. Baseball writers that write about sports teams, they still are fans of a specific team. Like, that doesn't mean that it's going to shape their coverage. That's the most important thing. It's like, I might, you know, love or hate certain things on the internet, but I'm not going to like let it affect some story to the point that it would be mistruthful, or you know what I
But
mean?
this is what this gets into something else. Whereas you're kind of maybe I don't know if this is the right word, but a celebrity journalist because you there was you recently had a photo spread in this magazine and they're dressing you up in
I know.
couture, right? I mean, so what's that about? You're celebrity journalist.
I know, I've been in a couple things like that. Yeah, I mean, look, journalists have always been, it's always been a public facing job. It's always been a
Right.
public, I mean, Woodward and Bernstein, obviously. Bob Woodward also works at the
Mm-hmm.
Post. He's incredibly famous. Anderson Cooper, Barbara Walters, the original female journalist, Katie Couric, like all these journalists are well-known household names because of their journalism, but of course, they're also people. And I think with the internet now, that's all come to a smaller scale. I'm definitely not at those people's levels at all,
Uh-huh.
but with the internet, I think we all follow journalists and content creators, and again, it goes back to transparency. That's what I think is a big problem with that old model of media, where it's like, don't ever speak, your opinion or something on anything. Because I think actually when you don't and you try to sort of act like, oh, I don't have an opinion, that's a lie. Everyone has an opinion on everything. Or, like maybe
Right.
you don't have, but you should just be honest about it, because that helps people trust you. Because I can be like, look, you know, I don't love, this is a total example because I do love Emma Chamberlain, but I could be like, I don't love Emma Chamberlain, but I had the opportunity to interview her. Her editing style was pioneering. It transformed YouTube. I wrote about it, in my book, XYZ. That doesn't, I'm not going to let my personal feelings about her like color it, but
Right.
I would answer questions about it. If somebody asked me, I'd be like, well, here's my thoughts.
But what about okay? So what is your daily life then? I mean, are you basically do you freelance to are these all these? How does it work? What is your life?
No, I work for the Washington Post, so I am on our morning meeting every day at 8 a.m. on Zoom.
Oh, okay. So is that so? Is no one? Well, that's a good question. Is everyone online now? If you work for the Washington Post, does no one go
Yeah,
to the office?
they have a big office in Washington, but I moved out here with the New York Times. So I was at the New York
Uh-huh.
Times for several years,
Right.
and the New York Times does have an office in LA. So they moved
Right.
me out here, and then the Post recruited me, and I was like, well, I'm not leaving LA. And they have a lot of people from the Post in LA, obviously, as well.
Are
So
you from L? I thought you were from LA. No.
no, I live in LA, but I'm from New
No.
York originally. So
You
I
where
was
in?
living.
Oh, where are you from? Where in New York are you from?
Well, I lived on the Upper East Side when I was little,
Uh,
and then I lived all over New York. I mean, I've lived, yeah, so I think like 11 different neighborhoods.
but
But
all in Manhattan, not all in Manhattan.
no, 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 no,
No.
mostly in Brooklyn. I was in
Okay.
Fort Greene
Wow.
before I moved.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't know that. So you're a New Yorker. Okay.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then not anymore. And so do you come up with that? Are you pitching them ideas? Or are they telling you this is what we want you to cover today?
It's a mix. I would say it's probably like 80 to 90% coming up with your own ideas.
Mhm.
The rest of it, sometimes there's an editor assigned story. Most of the time it's breaking news. So for instance,
Oh,
the war breaks out, I cover TikTok, I cover the content. So they're like, well, is there an angle,
oh my
on
God.
XYZ breaking
So
news?
what is most of your day then? Is it surfing the internet or is it making calls to experts or whatever?
Yeah, it's a mix. I wish it was surfing the internet all day, but
Oh,
it's a lot of meetings, a lot of, we have editorial meetings where we discuss coverage and we all give feedback on our stories. And I have meetings with my editor to talk about stories. I write features, so I generally
right.
write longer pieces. Sometimes I'm working on investigations for
Oh my
months.
God.
And
Then
then
how did you
it's,
have it? Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh yeah, it's a mix of like, I do a lot of interviews and I do a lot of informational interviews and I do a lot of like consuming content and keeping
Well,
up
then
with.
where did you get the time to write this book? It sounds very busy.
I know, I didn't take book leave like an idiot. I was like, I'll just do it nights and weekends.
People go on book leave.
Yeah, but it's unpaid, so
Right.
that's how they get you. And I didn't want to do that, so I thought I'll just try to do it all on top of my job, and I did, but it took me 2 years. So
I want, do you have, are you working on your next book? What's that?
no, I'm not doing another book. I'm
Oh,
that
you're
was
done for now, but
fun.
you will at some point.
Maybe, sure, like yours. Like I don't want to do that right now. It was really
Why?
hard.
I know it's a lot of work, a lot of research.
And just like the fact checking, I interviewed about 600 people for the book.
Uh,
And it was, yeah, it was just a lot. And I, as throughout it all, I make videos, I speak at things, I go to events, like I have a lot like going on in between. So but
and
it's
how are
fun.
you getting these speaking engagements? You're a celebrity
No, no, but like I talk at like industry conferences type stuff a lot,
now.
just, like VidCon or things like
What is
that.
VidCon? Stop talking like I know what I'm talking about. I don't even know what that
Wait,
is.
Wait, Michael, you need to come to VidCon next year.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh my God, VidCon is the largest,
So
it's like,
ignorant.
no, no, no. You know what? You would have no reason to know it. It's like the biggest conference it's a convention for
Huh.
online content creators. It's in Anaheim every year. They also have VidCon Baltimore this year, but it's like a big convention where all the big content creator type people get together in the industry sort of.
And so you go. Are you going as a guest or are you going as a speaker?
I've mostly in recent years gone as a speaker, but I used to go as a guest.
And so what do you do as a guest?
As a guest, you get to meet your biggest fan, you meet the big content creators that are there, TikTokers, meet and greets, you
Oh,
go to
okay.
panels, you can go to events, there's parties. It's kind of like a fun thing if you're up and
It,
coming or you care about the internet. It used to be a really big thing. I mean, I talk about this a little bit in the book, but it started in 2010 and it
uh-huh.
started as this like small thing of just like the biggest creators on the internet getting together just because there was sort of no event, physical event. And then it got bought by Viacom and now it's this huge
So now
thing.
they reach out to you to say we want you to be on a panel or something.
Yeah, I'm always talking about, sometimes I do interviews with big content creators on the main stage. They need somebody to interview Charlie D'Amelio or something, and so I'll do
Uh-huh.
that. Sometimes I'm talking about I did one, I think it was last year, the year before, on like news content creators. That's something that people always want me to talk
All
about.
right. So we don't live far from each other. So we'll ride share if you want to be
Yeah.
you can be in my if you like riding in a Jeep. If you're
Yeah.
not afraid of
I
riding
think
in a
you
Jeep.
might be recognized. Maybe you'll be a VidCon speaker soon because they love the entertainment people. There was
Uh-huh.
some woman they had there one year. They always get some weird entertainment like celebrity that has a YouTube channel to come, and they're always really out of place. It's very funny.
Why would they be out of place if they're famous or if they're a
Because
celebrity?
they're not like internet people. They're like like they don't even run their own channel usually.
Oh, I see. So that's a whole different thing. It's when celebrities put themselves. That's the thing. I read somewhere like well, I guess there was like pushback when a celebrity gets on YouTube. It's like, hey, or TikTok, get off TikTok,
Yeah.
celebrity. It's like, why is everyone so mad? But I
Yeah.
guess maybe talk a little about that. What happens when they try to do that?
I think it's just like these old school entertainment people come on and they don't really understand the app and they clearly are not doing it themselves. They have some like content assistant and then they're like, hey kids, like, I guess I have to be here now. And it's like, what are you doing here? I will say the musicians do a better job. Like Megan Trainor has Chris Olsen, her
Uh-huh.
like TikTok buddy that like, and music is such a part of TikTok. I feel like they get a warmer reception. But like people, I mean, when Reese Witherspoon first joined, people were like, They were
Like,
like in the comments
yeah.
being mean to her.
Aren't you rich enough, Reese? But there is some women I follow, and I was shocked. I'm like, there's so many ways that people are making money on this. And she talks about politics, so she's like a pundit. That's her passion. So I'm like, okay, let's get her take on it. But she also does these. They're called Trova trips. Have you heard of this?
Trova?
Trova trip.
What
And
is
so
it?
basically, it's this website where she'll run a trip like in Europe. We're going to Italy for a week. Come onto this, and you can
Oh.
pay her basically to be your tour guide.
Oh, I see. It's like a host. They're like hosting you for the tour.
Yeah,
Interesting. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Yes.
And I'm like, how smart. So she basically gets a free trip, but she has to be with people for a week. She's the host.
Well, they were doing that with our New York Times. When I was at the New York Times, I think they stopped doing it because one of the reporters was being controversial on the trip, and I think they kind of scaled back the program. But I think they were like, actually, we don't want our reporters talking to the public. But
Yeah.
they used to have people travel with New York Times reporters, and that was a way that the New York Times made money off
Oh,
journalists.
oh, wow. And for the same kind of thing, where like, let's go tour the Vatican or something.
Yeah, it would be like tour the Vatican with the Times religious reporter or
It's so
whatever.
weird. But there's just so many ways for people to, I don't know, make a name for themselves. I was like, good for her.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's just endless ways to monetize online. It's
I haven't discovered any of them yet, but I'm waiting for it. I got my eyes peeled. But okay, so yeah, so you go to this VidCon thing, you do a panel, and then people want your opinion, and I imagine it's people a lot smaller than you, right? Who aspire to be
um
you.
yeah, or it's just people in different industries that are there to like learn more about the industry, or it's a lot of brand people too, like the head of marketing for Walmart or something,
Oh,
that
really?
want to understand the ecosystem.
Oh, so they're not talking. I don't know conferences. I don't know what this is
It
about. So,
depends. I mean, sometimes those people, if they're really good, like, I mean, I actually know like the woman who runs the Walmart influencer marketing was also at this event I was at recently. So that's a bad example. But a lot of times it's like marketers, maybe they're not totally in it yet, or they're a brand that wants to understand the content creator world, but maybe they're not doing that yet, or they want to do
okay.
more of it. So they go to these events to build
So,
connections and like
so you're
learn about.
saying I should go to this thing?
I think you should go to VidCon. It's interesting. It's fun to just go to once, and there's a lot of
Right.
fans there too. So there's like the industry side, then there's the fan side, and then there's just all these sort of adjacent events.
Hey, it's Michael Jamin. If you like my content, and I know you do because you're listening to me, I will email it to you for free. Just join my watch list. Every Friday, I send out my top 3 videos of the week. These are for writers, actors, creative types, people like you. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. I'm not going to spam you, and the price is free. You got no excuse. To join, go to michaeljamin.com/watchlist. And now back to what the hell is Michael Jamin talking about?
All right. So what about other people, who've, I guess, transitioned from, I guess I'm saying, what I'm thinking is how can we help my listeners into, I don't know. Everyone turns to me for like, hey, what should I put on? It's like, I don't know. Just build a following. What would you have advice for them? You
Everyone
know?
asks me the same thing, and I'm like, I wish it was as easy. Like, if I could give you a three-step thing, like we would all have millions of followers. I mean, a huge part is consistency, which is
Yeah.
very hard. And I have to say, you post forever. You can't get obsessed with the views because people just quit and they feel like, oh, if you have an audience of 500 people, that really matters. It's very much about creating more of a community of people
Right.
than it is scale. So I mean, I think it's just that's so valuable. And it also matters who's following you rather than just getting random views. Like you want influential or interesting or whatever type of market you're trying to go for, like you want the right people to follow you.
Well,
So,
this is something that I was always perplexed at the beginning of TikTok. So Instagram, I guess both of them, but on TikTok you have followers that I get all these followers. I'm like, but if I have all these followers and only like a tenth of them are seeing an average post or less,
yeah.
like what's the point of why do I keep track of this metric? Why do they have the metric of followers if they don't show it to your followers?
It's just like the way that I explain TikTok is like following is just one signal to
Uh,
the algorithm. It's one signal out of probably thousands. And so it's useful. It's like I have an affinity to this person. obviously you follow people too, because then you're mutuals and then you can DM with each other, more like, or comment. Sometimes you can put like videos to mutuals only. So like there is a value, I think, in following, but most of people's experience is of consuming content on TikTok is obviously through the For You page. So I wouldn't even, followers doesn't matter that much.
Right.
It's
It
more about,
doesn't.
yeah. And also it's like, again, it's just, it goes back to like who is following you. There's so many creators that people always wonder this with press, because people are like, why, how do I get written about? And it's really not about how big you are. It's like, do you have something new and interesting, or have you cultivated some sort of like unique audience that maybe hasn't, been served before, things like that. So
Right.
you don't have to be the biggest.
Well, I say this because there's this one guy, I'm trying to remember his name, but he has a show. He sold a show somewhere. I should know his name, but it was a Twitter feed, and he was just writing. He had like a thriller. So every day he posts a little different line from this thriller he was
Oh, cool.
writing. Yeah, and then it just blew up because it's mystery and suspense, and people wanted to find out what was in the basement or whatever. And yeah, then he was able to. So I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So he did it. And so I don't know if are you following any other people who do anything like that?
Twitter, there was this period on Twitter where there were a lot of like TV writers and comedians were like trying things out there, and you could really get traction and people were looking at Twitter. Now, no one's looking at that anymore. I would say it's much more TikTok and Instagram,
Yeah,
for comedy, and just that's just where it is. But I mean, people make, I mean, I was interested, this guy, Ari Kagan, who is like kind of like a young director, content creator. He doesn't like to be called a content creator, but he is. Like he just sold a show with Adam McKay where they're making it for TikTok.
they're
Um,
making for TikTok. Wait a minute, what does
yeah,
that mean?
they're gonna make it on TikTok. It's gonna live on TikTok, I
But
guess.
it,
The show.
but not as like what we do. Is there some kind of different TikTok channel or something where it's long
Yeah.
form?
Um, yeah, hold on. Let me find it because I want to actually get it right. Oh yeah, here. It's a series that they're making on TikTok. Hold on. It happened when I was okay. I just put it in the chat.
Okay,
Yeah, I think it's scripted. Yeah, it's a scripted series to run on TikTok.
to
Um,
run, but and so you may or may not. That means you may or may not see it, like we were just
yeah,
talking about.
exactly. Yeah. So I guess they're hoping that it'll perform well. I'm sure they're going to put paid media behind it, but
Oh,
um,
okay. Okay. How interesting. Yeah. This whole thing is so. You gotta be on. It's so people are always saying like, how do I break into Hollywood? And I'm thinking, well, what? You don't need to. You can do this on your own. Uh,
I
yeah.
mean, Ari did a lot on his own initially.
Mhm.
Like I think that's how a lot of people get in there is they sort of start making their own little projects. I mean, one person that I think has done this really well, he is an actor. His name is Brian Jordan Alvarez. Do you know him?
No,
Oh my God, he's
I
so
gotta know
fun.
who. All
He
right,
is
put him in the
okay.
chat.
I'm gonna put him in the chat. He was an actor on Will and Grace, and he was in Megan. Um, and he's very funny, and he has a Wikipedia now. He's big time.
Oh,
Um, he's an actor, but it makes this really amazing content, and he started making music online and these series online, and I think it's like helped him a lot. I mean, everyone knows who he is now. He's been in Time magazine and stuff, and it's mostly from his like he made this YouTube series a while ago that was popular, and then his TikToks took off, and he started making music. But it's like
all right.
it's
I
just
gotta follow this guy. You're saying,
he's very funny, but it's just raised his profile a lot. I think like what he
yeah,
does on the internet.
yeah,
Um, and he does it in a really fun way. And I listened to him on a podcast recently, and he was just saying how it's like led to more people kind of knowing his work. And obviously, people see your work and then they want to work with you. And
right. Do you have a podcast yet?
um, I might,
Careful,
I might
maybe.
soon. We'll see. I
Well,
had one, and then the New York Times made me quit it because the Times is like crazy about outside projects, so I
oh,
quit it. But
really?
I might do another.
But the post is not as great. Maybe they
They're
don't.
better. That's why I work there now.
Wow, you got your hand in so many different things. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought you're absolutely fascinating because you are an expert, but you're also in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, is it overwhelming for you?
I think I have good boundaries, because I mean, I'm grateful to be a millennial where like I think it's harder for like the 22-year-olds today where like everything, their whole social life is so enmeshed in the internet.
Yeah.
Like I think I have a healthy distance from it, and I have friends that are just my friends that aren't, internet like.
Right. So your boundaries are basically how much time you're willing to invest every day in yeah, on being
And also
online.
just like I have a very strong sense of self. And I think when you get on the internet, everybody tries to push you into doing things or making content or being like, oh, you should do
Hmm.
this or oh, you should do this. And I have always had a mind of like, actually, I know what I want and I'm going to do this and I'm just going to do only what I want. And I know who I am. If people, because it's hard on the internet and sometimes things perform well. So it's like if I had continued to talk about my life, I think that probably would have performed well, like back when I was blogging, but I made the decision to just stop doing
But
that.
you're right. Like if something's controversial, I try to steer away from controversy. I feel like I'm just here to talk about art and entertainment, writing and
Yeah.
Hollywood. Like, but I also know if I took a bigger stand on things and pissed people off, it would go viral. But then what's the point of this? I don't know.
Then you get all these haters. I've written a lot of political stories that have to
Uh-huh.
do with the content creator world and the political ecosystem. And so those are some of like my most viral stories, but I have to say like it just gets you a lot of like people that then follow you because they feel like, oh yeah, she's on our side on this or whatever, or like, oh, I hate her because she wrote about, this content creator that. So I think it's just better to just be true to yourself and
Yeah. Though I did a post a couple maybe when I first started off, and it went somehow Yahoo picked up on it, and I was on Yahoo Entertainment News, and my first reaction was, oh no, like you know what I'm saying, like oh no, like
yeah.
I don't like people know about me. It felt wrong. Like I don't know. I was like I don't want people knowing about me.
I know it feels really bad. I mean, I've struggled with that a lot. Like, and I actually really like being in LA for this reason. Like, I was thinking just the past few years, more and more people sort of start to know who you are and start writing about you. And that is such a mind fuck because I used to
Yes.
really believe like, oh, every journalist is so great and they only have the best interests at heart of what, and that is just not true, unfortunately. There's a lot of places that just aggregate things for clicks and whatever, and or they're very partisan in certain ways. And yeah, it's very hard. I used to run around trying to correct people. I tried to correct my own Wikipedia page. And then now
Right.
I'm like, I gave up on all of that and I don't
You gave
care.
up. You see, that's something else that frightens me a little bit is when people, will stitch me or they'll make me the face of whatever argument they want. I'm like, whoa, 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 keep me out of it. I never said any of this. I didn't sign up for that. This is your thing.
I know.
That frightens me a little bit.
I think because everybody uses each other as characters online. And so it's like you're the main character, and then you kind of just like use all these other people around you as like supporting characters and whatever you're trying to do on the internet. And I think that's
Yeah.
really, but
Well, that's
it's
what scared me about what you wrote in your book, but that those people who just write their gossip, whatever they gossip about other TikTokers, like, whoa, 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 this is not. That just feels so wrong to me. Just do your own thing.
I
Don't
know,
don't
but
try to cancel me. What are you doing?
I know. My first job in media was at the Daily Mail, and it was such a great like training ground for media because tabloid news is just so relentless and just the way it operates is so different than like the type of media that I work in now. And I think it's very similar to TikTok in the way that like they just create these like universes of characters and they just use people to kind of like, you know, like, oh, so and so was spotted with so and so, and so that means XYZ. And it's just all these narratives that keep people interested. But I just don't
I
take
don't
it.
know how you are healthy, but honestly, because this is kind of my biggest fear. Like leave me out of your drama. I don't want to be. But you're fine. Like, screw it.
I don't care. I think, I don't mind because at the end of the day, it affects me. I mean, it's affected my life a lot. Like I've gotten a lot of online hate and it's really
Right.
like been crazy to deal with. But I will say they've done pretty much everything that could happen to me has happened to me. And it's a little bit freeing because I'm like, okay, it wasn't that bad, so whatever, you
Real,
know.
because I followed some creators who were doxxed and were, people my age, and they lost their jobs.
So that's this is what's terrifying. And I always say this. I was telling a friend who left the New York Times recently too. It's like I was never my parents, even when my family was getting harassed and all this horrible stuff was happening, like
Oh
my
wow,
parents don't care. They're like living in the middle of the country. They're like, whatever, like they don't even have the internet, so they don't care.
right,
Um, but what I was always scared of is like, oh my God, my employer, like, is my employer going to understand? And so that was a lot. I had to have a lot of conversations with the Post when I joined. Everywhere I work, I'm like, okay, so I cover the craziest parts of the internet, and like almost every story I write pisses someone off, or like a fandom off, or whatever, or a political faction off. And so,
oh
are
wow.
you prepared to get like thousands of letters or campaigns, and people make nonstop YouTube videos? It's a lot of attention.
And you're telling this to your employer, the human resources, or who? Who?
Before I ever accept a job, I'm like, okay, this is what comes with the beat.
And do you think they
Are you
understand this?
cool with that? No, I mean it's a learning curve. Like the
Right.
Post fucked up a little bit. They were like responding directly to these like really bad YouTubers when I right after I first started. And I was like, don't respond to the YouTuber. If you respond to the YouTubers, now they're making videos. Oh, look, we got to the Post. We got
Yeah.
to change the article. I'm like, no, just ignore, just the more you see
Interesting.
that stuff, the
That's
worse.
right.
But a lot of people have jobs that don't understand, and suddenly they're flooded with calls or flooded with bad reviews. And so I get it. They don't, and so they just think, oh, okay, I'll just fire the person. And that's what's so horrifying.
Right. Right. See, I made a post about this just a couple of days ago where I said it allows these people on the fringe to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm tearing down now I'm part of Hollywood because I'm tearing it down. So you're building
Yes.
and I'm tearing down.
And then you're the famous person, that got so and so canceled, and now you're getting all the views.
Yeah.
I know
I,
it's really toxic.
I feel in some way like, okay, so I have this platform. This is a therapy session. You're going to help me. I have this platform where I have a voice where I can talk about things, but in some ways I can't because I can't respond.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in some ways I'm, it's emasculated. That's not even the right word. It's, what's the word? Impotent almost. Like I can't respond to them. They can hurl insults at me, but I just I have to shut up and take it.
It's so frustrating. And
Mm-hmm.
Michael, I empathize so much. I tell you, I used to run around, I used to respond to everything. I used to try to get articles corrected. I'd be like, that's not true. Here's all the, and nothing even like that controversial. Thank God. I've never, I don't do anything like crazy, but it's just the internet, and it's a losing game. And so you just have to accept that you don't control the narrative about yourself online, and you
Right.
have to, and this is something that like big Hollywood people have, and I kind of write about this in my book, have always had to deal with. I mean, when you're really famous, you do lose that you don't control the story of your life anymore, really, in the public eye. But
Yeah.
now we all have to deal with it. Anybody with a following has to deal with that pretty much. And
Yeah.
it's hard to go through. But
Yeah. It's so interesting. Yeah. That's exactly right. I was going to say something, then I lost my train of thought
oh,
because you got
sorry.
me. No, I got so distracted by like, oh, I got lost in my own tunnel of insecurity.
It's hard. It's so hard to deal with, and you want to be like, you got me all wrong, like, or like, like,
But that's why I don't respond even to positive. I respond a little bit, but when someone says something nice, I feel like I don't want to blow them off, but I also feel like, am I going into this? I don't know if I respond to everyone or respond to no one. What's the right thing to do?
I mean, look, I make content out of some of my replies. Like, I think it's great to engage people. Sometimes, like, I mean, I had, especially like sometimes when there's a lot of like consistent hate around specific things. A lot of things that what people say to me is I'm too old to be writing about technology, which is funny because I'm a woman in my 30s.
You're
Like,
too old.
I don't think I'm too old.
I'm too
I
old to
know,
be on
right?
TikTok.
And by the way, let's not talk about, all the men in their 60s that are writing books about Elon Musk and whatever. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's so silly. Myself and Joanna Stern are actually the youngest tech columnists in the entire industry, period,
Uh-huh.
women. So obviously it's ridiculous, but I responded. I made a TikTok a while ago. I've made a couple TikToks like being like, okay, like look at the misogyny of this comment and kind
Hmm.
of like what women tech reporters and women in tech have to deal with. And like, this is this thinking of like, women, like, there's no right age to be a woman. And I pulled up some stuff because when I was in my 20s, people would be like, oh, she's silly. She's too young to cover this
Yeah.
industry. It's serious. And so, like there's things like that that you can respond to and just sort of shine a light on. And sometimes I've seen you do a good job, Michael, when people say something mean and then you give a very thoughtful answer actually to their like whatever they said.
Yeah, but that's not my first reaction. My
I
first
know.
reaction is actually a lot funnier and a lot meaner.
It's
Uh,
just you have to remember it's a lot of children. Like that's
yes.
the thing.
Yeah. It's a lot of children, or I'm sometimes thinking, well, or is it, it could be someone with, mental instability or, whatever they've got going on. And so you can't even call them out for that because then someone can say, hey, that person has, whatever. And then you're like, then you're the villain.
Yeah, then you're the villain. I know. I just think like, oh, they're probably having the worst day ever, or they're just like a hateful person. And another thing I would say for everyone to understand early on the internet, and I think actually in any creative profession, is just like you are never going to be for everyone, and like
Yes.
totally fine. Like you are going to have people that hate your work, and that's totally fine. That
Right.
doesn't mean anything about you. Just the way I hate some stuff that's so popular, that's amazing, beloved by all. I'm like, oh, I don't like that much.
Right.
That's totally fine. And so sometimes people hate something, and I'm like, that's okay. It's not for you. You
It's
don't
not
have.
for you.
That's
I feel like you're maybe in your 30s, but I feel like you're exceptionally mature because yeah, you're walking me through this.
I've
But
been through the ringer a lot.
have you been though? I mean,
Yeah, I've
I
been through
mean,
some crazy stuff on the internet. I
but it
mean,
dies away, it dies off, you're saying.
I think it just like it's people have the memory of a goldfish, and it gets hard.
Uh,
Like I said, the hardest stuff was like the political, especially when Tucker Carlson was on the air because he kept doing so many segments about me and stuff.
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh my God. That was like a whole era. Yeah. He was doing all these segments on me all the time. And
Oh my
his
God.
fans were like so angry. And every day all my social profiles were like swarmed with his fans. And guess what? Now he lost his TV show and I feel very vindicated because I was,
Wow.
but
Wow.
like I just never responded ever.
You never, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was this guy. Oh my God. I'll say this on a wrap, but there's this on TikTok. There's this he was a showrunner. He has a show or had a show. I don't know if it's still on, popular. But every time I make a post, he would kind of give what's the word? He'd be a contrarian. He'd give his contrarian opinion under my post. And I wrote this is twice that two times, and I just rolled my eyes. I didn't respond to him at all. I was like, whatever, dude, get your own. Like, stop trying to take my clout.
He's cloud chasing you.
He's
Yeah.
cloud chasing, right? So I just ignore him. And the third time he says to say a similar thing, and I just said, all right, I'm done with this guy. I just blocked him. I never had any engagement. Just blocked this guy. And then I found out he's badmouthed me on his podcast. I'm like, dude, what are you? I don't even know you.
He's out for you. There's so
Yeah,
many people like that. It's so crazy. I mean, people, but I think a lot of it is also jealousy. And I mean,
yeah.
I think you do a good job of this too, but I've had people like get a little bit snippy to me, or they're like, oh, and is she a professional journalist? Because she's on TikTok all day, or no. And it's like, yeah, when I had my Snapchat show, people were also really mean about that. And they were like, oh, she does her silly Snapchat, and like I'm on CNN, so like I'm a real journalist, and she's on
Oh,
Snapchat.
really? The other journalists were coming after you.
So mean. And I always was like, hey, there's room for all of us. And just guys, like it's not that deep. I'm not competing with you. Also, you should come try Snapchat. It's actually pretty great. There might give you a show. Like
Was it
just
men or women that were coming
a
after you?
lot of men. But I've had other women. I mean,
Hmm.
it's weird. I think people get competitive and they feel there's so much FOMO on the internet, and you see someone that's kind of adjacent in your career
Hmm.
succeeding. And so I think it's like everyone that like I looked up to that could have been like that. Maybe to me, I'm sure I annoyed Katie Notopoulos a million times when I was younger, like, oh my God, oh, like
Uh-huh.
but I was more like fangirling. But I always everyone was so gracious to me actually, and I always remembered that. And I feel like I try to do that. Even if
Right,
people are a little bit mean, if they're less successful or they're not there, they're just starting out. It's like sometimes they're just trying to put a stake in the ground, and you just
right.
have to not take it personally.
Oh, wow. So, well, okay. Okay. I mean, because I do feel it is different. I mean, it is way different for women on the internet because a guy can come out and start hitting on you, like sliding. It's not just, men can be creepy. So,
People are crazy online, men and women. But yeah,
yeah.
I mean, anytime you have an audience, people are going to come for you. And yeah, it's funny when people trash talk you. I've had that too, where I think I muted someone because they kept replying to my post. They were just replying a lot. I was sick of getting the notifications. And that person
Ye-
also went on a podcast, was like, and Taylor Lorenz ignores her fans and I was like, reply to, there's no way I could reply to everything you
Yeah.
say.
So people are not, yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's just reading into it.
But that's why, all right. Well, I think if we can, this is a good segue. So, I mean, because a lot of the stuff in your book, let's plug it one more time. Extremely Online, The Untold Story of Fame, Influence, and Power on the Internet by Taylor Lorenz. If you are interested in doing this, if you're interested in, making your claim in social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, it's really, I think it's really helpful to understand a little bit of the history and to understand some of the pitfalls. And you certainly outline them. I don't know. I think it's a very helpful book for people who, I don't know, who are at all interested in playing this game. The pros and the cons. So right now, get her book. Yeah, and very well written, by the way. Good for you.
Thank you. Oh my
Yeah.
God, so much, because there's no editing with books.
What do you mean there's no editing?
They don't line edit books. Like
What do you mean they don't? What do you mean?
they don't
You have someone's looking at it.
no, they copy edit maybe to make sure you
Right.
don't spell anything wrong, but they don't line edit. Like they don't rewrite your sentences or
Oh, okay.
change the structure or anything like that. It's
They
all
do
in.
that in magazine art and your articles rather? You see
Yes.
that?
My
Oh.
editor will like rewrite things for me all the time because he's like, this could be stronger,
Oh,
work on this
okay.
lead book. It's like, I think because it's so much, it would probably take so long to go through those edits. But
Right.
um I did have, yeah, I love my editor, Simon and Schuster, but it was scary because I was like, can you read this again? Like I actually want more.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, oh, so fascinating. Well, I thought it was a great read. So
Thank
it's very
you.
easy to read. Taylor, thank you so much for having this chat with me. I'm a big fan of all your posts. So it was nice to finally meet you, and maybe we'll go to VidCon together
Yes.
and boo people. Let them have it.
Respond to the haters.
Yeah, we should become haters. That's what we'll do.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be the trolls of VidCon.
Maybe there might be something to it. It might be fun. But all right. Well, thank you so much, and don't go anywhere. Don't go. I'll thank you as I wrap it up. All right, everyone. Another great talk. Go follow Taylor. By the way, let's get your social media profiles on Instagram and TikTok. What are they again?
I'm just at Taylor Lorenz on every single social platform. So
That
you
makes
can find
sense.
me.
You're the only one. You're the only one. All right. Go follow her. It's great stuff. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Another interesting talk. We got more people lined up. So keep following me. Until then, keep creating.
So now we all know what the hell Michael Jamin's talking about. If you're interested in learning more about writing, make sure you register for my free monthly webinars at michaeljamin.com/webinar. And if you found this podcast helpful or entertaining, please share it with a friend and consider leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. That really, really helps. For more of this, whatever the hell this is, follow Michael Jamin on social media at Michael Jamin Writer. And you can follow Phil Hudson on social media at Phil A. Hudson. This podcast was produced by Phil Hudson. It was edited by Dallas Crane. And music was composed by Anthony Rizzo. And remember, you can have excuses or you can have a creative life, but you can't have both. See you next week.